Oops.
Tradition and all that stuff, but
Okay.
but you don't want to see the defense in their white beater.
No, that's the client.
No, I'm saying,
That's the, I mean, I did criminal defense for years, so. I had clients that had that tattoos and stuff, you know, so in the middle of summer, they'd be wearing turtlenecks. I had a client one time that had tattoos all over his face. So I said, you're gonna sit with your back to the whole, don't turn around, don't look at me, don't do anything.
Ah, there it is.
Okay, it just came in.
We're gonna take-
I just got it, Howard.
Okay, okay.
Cause it
All right, let
was,
me,
I'm just trying to get back to our Zoom screen. I can't see it.
okay.
they weren't even good. They were
Oh,
like,
they never are.
what he had done is, they were prison tattoos, and so what he had done was, you know, like all the veins and stuff in your head, they had traced them, so it was just all
Okay.
this,
Good.
like,
And I think probably the most popular person with face tattoos today is
Post Malone.
Post, and none of his tattoos are any good either.
Well, they're better than.
Oh no, I know, but they're not like
No.
not the kind of thing you'd want on your face.
Well, I've never gotten a face tattoo. I just,
You know, some people have faces that could be improved by face tattoos, I'm sure.
yeah, okay. Maybe. Hardly ever though.
Oh, how about a face tattoo that says fragile?
No.
Or this end up, upside down?
Well, you know, there's a lot of them that had a dotted line right here. It says, cut me. These are prison tattoos now, you know.
Hmm.
My favorite clients ever was a really, really good tattoo artist. He made a lot of money with that.
Hmm.
Because most of the time they have to use big pens, but what they do is they use ink out of a big pen and pins, don't safety pins.
Hmm.
Which is very fast.
They're really accurate.
Yeah, compared to
Okay.
the other shit.
Well, it's
Not even for that.
Well. All right, well, let's get started here.
Figure it definitely is.
Okay. So, thank you all for coming. First item, our past events. So we've had three events so far three events this month. There was a private event for Our Lady of Victory Church in Assumption High School, and turned out to be more people than we expected. There were at least 40 students show up, not including chaperones. And it was a very successful night. The skies didn't cooperate as much as we'd liked, but we gave everyone the full tours. And we did manage to see a few things through the telescopes. Altogether, I'd say Father Rauenbuehler decided it was a very big success. And then we had our public night at Menke Observatory. Ian Spangenberg's brought some of his students from Pleasant Valley. And sadly, the big Aurora display didn't show up and didn't start until after 11 p.m. and it didn't last very long. But those of us who stuck around for it, it was amazing. And hopefully we'll see some of the photos and videos that were taken of it later in this meeting. And who just joined us? Dan Cusack. Hi, Dan. And we had our
Okay. I would like to take my camera and point at the case we got and all the eyepieces for the 30-inch roll-off for that 6.5 is in this case. They're all clean and ready to go. They're all organized in the proper order. Can I show that to you guys? Is that right, Jim?
Well, Robert is working through an agenda. Can you hold off on that?
Yeah, sure I
Till we
can.
get to that point?
Yeah, I'm just surprised my camera's working now.
Okay.
All right, Greg.
Hello.
Okay, Robert, if you want to continue, you can do so.
It looks like people up there have the,
Can everyone hear me now?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so all right.
listening to a brief.
I don't know.
Don't-
No, we've always had trouble getting the sound out of the big TV. Anyway, so Astronomy Day this past Saturday, only Cecil and Kim Cheung showed up in person at Bettendorf High School, and they tell me they like only about a dozen and a half people looked through the telescopes through the whole time. Apparently, there was a dance competition going on in the school. And then the evening session, nobody from the public showed up, but about half a dozen of us from the club were there, including myself, Donna, Jim, Howard, Cecil, and Kim Cheung. And skies were kind of partly cloudy, so I mean, we got to see some things. And as Howard was alluding to, he and Jim spent much of the night calibrating the mount for the new ES-165. We'll hear more about that later on in the program. Does anyone have any comments about recent events?
So somebody showed up with a dog.
Yeah,
Do we not have anything written anywhere to say don't bring your animals to public night?
yeah, I think that was one of the public.
Yeah, it was.
It was.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how to answer them when they were like, yeah, I brought my dog, and I'm like,
And then later in the evening, the dog went off. on
yeah,
somebody.
and then I
Yeah.
kind of told her, I was like,
It started angry
you
barking.
need to do something. But so I don't know if maybe when we hold public nights, we can say, please no non-service animals. I don't know how we want to go about it, but I don't know if this was just a one-off thing.
we could discuss it in the next board meeting.
Okay,
All right. Is everyone able to hear? Is everyone online able to hear everyone else in the room?
Yes.
Yes.
Good.
That's good.
Okay, good. Did someone else just join us? Steve? All right.
So Robert,
No.
I'd like to add, you commented the Assumption High School, we had a really good turnout. The other thing, I was really impressed with the quality of the students. I mean, everything about them was very good. I mean, they were attentive, they were courteous, they were very interested, asked a lot of interesting questions. It was just a rewarding group of people that were there.
Agreed. Yes. Any other comments? All right, then, upcoming, our next public night is June 8th, with a rain delay date of June 15th. So again, hopefully weather holds up. And then June 25th, Jeff Struve and Cecil Ward are putting on a solar observing event. Cecil, would you like to tell us more about that, please?
Well, we're going down to Muscatine for it must be I thought it was a school event, but it must be a church school event because I had to be cleared so I could go. But it's June 25th. It's from 10 to 1. No, that's not it. That's something else. That's the 22nd. The 25th, 9:30 to 11. And it's supposed to be, I don't know, several, probably 25 so students. And it's just go look at the sun, for a couple hours, hour and a half. So that's what that is. But if you feel like you want to join in, you'll have to get a hold of Jeff, and he can give them your email so you can get cleared to go. I guess if you're a felon or something, they don't clear you.
I mean,
Donna?
I know a little bit about this, because I'm gonna go to the thing too. And it is 2 groups of middle schoolers that are in a day camp. And it is at one of the parks down there. I think it's just part of their little program that they're doing for the kids on that day camp day. And the clearing is for you to go through your background check. Likely, really what they're most interested in is child molestation charges, or any felonies to that effect, because you're gonna be around kids, teaching them, talking to them, potentially grooming them. So that's what they want. It's free, and it's set up through the Lutheran church down there. Is that what you remember, Cecil, from the Lutheran church?
Yeah, what?
Yeah.
Well, I'm lucky they didn't catch that chalk throwing incident I did in 3rd grade.
Or the dog, your attacking dog too.
Yeah, it's at the Salisbury Bridge Recreation Area, wherever that is.
Yeah. And it's in Muscatine, so that's what it is.
All right. So anyone interested, contact Jeff Struve. And about how far ahead of time do you think it should be in order to get through all the checking?
I don't know. When I got the email, it told me I had like 5 days.
The checking takes less than a day.
Checking takes less than a day?
It didn't take very long to check.
Yeah.
Okay.
30 minutes if you're clean.
Okay. All right. And then August 3rd is our annual meteor shower party. I got an email from Ian asking if we wanted to have it at Pleasant Valley Junior High again. And I said that would be nice. And so I'll wait for him to get back to see if arrangements are starting to be made. And obviously the peak of the Perseids is more than a week later. Unfortunately, the moon is going to interfere with that. So. And then August 31st and September 28th is our Eastern Iowa Star Party. So for the first time, we're going to split it up between two different Saturday nights. See if maybe we can get to see what that does for attendance.
Now, does that mean is the later one a rain date?
It's posted from 1976.
Let me double check.
I think we decided that we would actually have two star parties.
Okay.
Yes, I remember this. The September 28th that weekend usually conflicts with some big star party out west. Is it Okie Tech or?
That's correct.
Yeah.
So what are the 2 days?
August 31st and September 28th.
You'd probably be looking at between 3
And the downside to the first one is that it's across the Labor Day weekend, which might prevent some people from being able to come.
And then the Okie Tech for the later one might prevent some people to come. So we're basically hedging our bets here.
From our research.
All right.
This is.
All right. Any questions about upcoming events?
Probably from like the 30s.
Someone, I think someone needs to mute their. Okay, thank you.
Hey, Robert,
Yes, Howard.
in a second here, can you repeat those dates you was going to do that in August or September?
August 28th.
Okay.
No. August 31st and September 28th.
August 31st.
And September 28th.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have a question for you. Don't we usually have it Friday, Saturday, and Sunday?
That's when we had it one weekend. Yes.
But not for the August setup.
Not for either of them this time around. I think
So
we're just I think we're just doing the Saturdays. Is that right, Jim?
Well, I think we can be pretty flexible, and if somebody wants to stay over onto the Sunday night, I think that would be okay too.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I kind of like this, the August one, but if I come out, I would be there like Saturday, Friday and Saturday, or yeah, probably Friday or Saturday and Sunday.
As Jim
Yeah.
said, we can be flexible.
Yeah, and I don't have any conflict of music because they canceled it because of all the rain they were having.
Say that again.
I had Blues Fest. I'm a member of the Blues Society, but the last 2 years it rained them out and they lost a lot of money.
Oh,
So it won't be happening this year.
it's too bad.
No conflict though.
All right. All right.
Robert, you got the email I sent you on that word, the procedure.
I did, yes.
Yeah, and when you're ready, you can display that.
All right, we're moving on to the observatory now for talk about the new telescope and mount. Here, I'll bring that up and in a moment here. Give me a minute to share my screen. And you and Jim can talk us through it.
This is just showing the upper part of what Jim had typed out after I actually went over to this telescope and we went with line per line saying what you have to do when you first plug it in, what you have to do, all in order. And then there's a second half. Jim, I don't know what was on that second half from where it says the objects. I can look here in a second. Okay. Yeah, I got it in front of me here. Hang on. Okay, a few different area. It's just more instructions. Once you do the basic run through on this first half of the page, you have it synced into the first star. And once you get that point, you're just in a loop of what you want to find and go to. Basically, right, Jim?
Yes.
So is this set up with a static alignment based on a clock, or what's the align procedure?
No align procedure other than doing one star sync.
Okay,
It's just you go in, go to these certain items on the list, go to a star, sync it, and it's a permanent mount. And it's when me and John Baker had done it 2 weeks ago. We went and did the first alignment, and everything else you went to was already
so
there. So it was real good.
okay,
Yeah, so what I would say is that as long as the previous person that used the telescope mount has shut it down and gone to the park position, then it will work as is described. Basis, it's every telescope mount is similar, but with some unique ways that it runs and you interact with it. So this is using the hand control, and this goes through in pretty much detail of saying power it up by hitting the number 1 key. That's the location that we've assigned to the Menke Observatory, so it knows the coordinates of the number 1 position. And then when you then go to the objects menu and then go to pick any star. We used as an example in this procedure Arcturus, and if you hit the go-to key, the mount slews to where it thinks Arcturus is. Now, it won't be perfectly on that, but it should at least be in the finder. So if you center it in the finder by using the keys on the hand control, and then look in the eyepiece of the optical tube and further center it. And once it's centered in the telescope, then if you use that arrow key, it will then display that you can sync the mount by hitting 1. And so if you hit the 1 key, what that does then is tells the mount we've centered the star that is listed. If it was in this case Arcturus, and you hit the 1 key, then the mount is oriented that, okay, the place it's pointed is Arcturus. And then when you go to other objects, it should be pretty close. Now, it may be that if you slew to a completely different side of the mount, different area, it could be out of the field of view. So you can do that same centering procedure in that area where you use that arrow key and then sync on the new place, and then you should be pretty well aligned for any objects in that area of the sky. And then so Howard is going to make a copy of this and put it out there so that people will have that to make reference to. And then there's also a procedure, or this procedure continues to say, here's how you shut the system down. And if you go to the what's assigned as the number 1 home position, that is a position where the telescope is in horizontal to the ground. And so that way, when we close the roof, we won't have a chance of it colliding with the telescope. If the telescope is in one of the other home positions pointed upward, the telescope is then high enough that the roof could collide with the telescope.
And that is called Park 1.
Park 1, thank
We're
you.
using Park 1. It's not a home, it's called Park.
Okay, it's called Park, thank you.
Yeah, that's where it places it. And then you unplug it and go home. Cover everything up and go.
That's this part.
Did you guys cover anything on the star diagonal and the eyepiece weight and? Or did we get it pretty well stiffened up so it doesn't move around?
This thing isn't gonna move.
Okay, I know when we were there setting up initially, there was some concern that it might go to the side on you.
No, it's good.
Okay.
Well, I would say it's balanced pretty well. The one issue is that 30 millimeter 3-inch 30 millimeter focal length 3-inch eyepiece is so much larger than any other eyepiece that anybody typically works with, that could throw the balance of the scope off. And probably more of a concern is the fact that rotationally, if it's not really tight, it can swing and potentially drop the eyepiece. So I'd kind of discourage people from using that eyepiece other than in rare exceptions when you really want a nice wide field of view, and just be really careful when you're using that eyepiece.
I think when you're running, you always have, with that big eyepiece, you have 2 people there, and both of them are certified to run it. And I think it will be all right. And you did put that padding on the floor too. I was going to mention that both when I was with John and with Jim again, we did that first alignment. And I was really surprised when I was with John the first time. You could go to any of the objects and they're within the field of view. You center it and sync it. It was excellent. I bet we went to 4 or 5 objects and we're within the field of view.
Yeah, so basically the telescope was that John and I, it was delivered on a Friday a week ago, a little over a week ago. We wanted to get it set up, so John and I set it up Friday night. Saturday, I think John and Harold Howard worked with the telescope, getting used to it, and are taking some notes that we then have formalized in this write-up that we have now. And then last Saturday, Howard and I and a few other people went to a few objects with the telescope. There were thin clouds and there was so much moon in the sky. It was a little hard to really get a good feel for the telescope, but we got to at least see how it worked and how it went to objects.
Oh, sounds good.
So I guess as long as we're talking about the telescope and the observatory, I did buy a battery operated drill to be used as a driver in the case of a power failure out there. So we now have in a bag a DeWalt drill that can be used to close the roof if necessary.
Good.
And if you have the power outage, you should have the main switch box to off, because the motor has actually a brake built into it. It's like a servo motor. So the power off, then you can use that and you could close that in an emergency. No problem.
Good.
You probably want to power it off anyway, it probably have a little reactive current. I don't know if it would have powered off if the motor windings.
As
were
long as you got
connected.
that, as long as you have that main bus off. and
Right, right.
It's not lit up and the bus is in opposition, you should be able to run it.
All right. One quick thing, speaking of telescopes, the 14-inch, recall May 1st, for that, I was having a lot of trouble getting it aligned. And I noticed that the computer's clock was off by a few minutes. So I hooked up the internet cable to it briefly, got the clock synced up, and then the next time I ran the alignment, it worked fine. So I'm thinking every so often we need to reconnect the 14 inches computer to the internet to make sure the clock is in sync. Because I'm sure that would affect the telescope's aim. Ideally, we'd like to have it permanently hooked up to the internet by running a cable up to it, like through the wall. I'll discuss that with the people at St. Ambrose, see what can be done about that. Does anyone have any other items to bring up about the observatory?
Other than, I'd like to mention that we'll have a sheet there and some type of procedure for certifying a person to be able to run it. But until people are trained, there needs to have a certified instructor and work with them quite a few times to make sure, and then sign off that they're trained to actually use it.
Agreed. Anyone who wants to get certified, contact Jim or Howard. We'll make the arrangements.
Yeah. Then I still have this case I wanted to show you on with my video camera here, so you can see what I did to all the eyepieces are now clean and in a waterproof, dustproof box.
By all means. Yeah.
And that should be real good. If you guys want me to share that video, I'll show you the case. All
Yeah,
the
please.
eyepieces. Go ahead, Jim.
I was just gonna say, please do that, Howard, just to give a little background. Howard had made observation that we have some nice eyepieces and that we've kept those in a tote, a plastic tote, but they weren't very accessible. So he proposed that we get a purchase from Harbor Freight, a nice large case where those eyepieces could be put in there. And so Howard had proposed to have one for each of the two buildings. And I said, let's start out with one. So I spent some of the club's money, $60 to buy one of these cases. And Howard then has worked on cleaning up the eyepieces and placing them in the case. And so he'll show you a picture of the product of his work.
Okay. First, what I want to do is I have the eyepieces from high power to low power and everything efficiently aligned. So as you see each item, like you take a plug off the 2-inch and you're going to put a different eyepiece at, there's a place for it in each position for eyepieces, plugs, adapters. There's special 2X Barlows in the case, extensions. There's a whole adapter for using the wide field camera. You can mount direct on that telescope with all the stuff that's in this box, and everything you need is right here. Can I go ahead and show you guys what this looks like?
Please.
Yeah, please do so.
Yeah, like I say, it is dustproof, waterproof, and sealed with 4 locks on it. So it's a real nice case. So I'm going to try to get it on here for you. Take me a minute.
Suspense is killing us.
Yeah, I'm going to use the.
We're hearing about tomorrow is a tornado proof.
No. Okay, I'm gonna just,
Got destroyed already.
okay, I'm gonna
Oh, that
back
is
this
nice.
off.
Okay.
That's nice.
Everything's
yeah,
real nice. Can
I
you
think
sit there
I
now?
found. You try something here.
If you can capture that something.
Right. As long as you're speaking, Howard, you should be able to see everything.
Okay, you know what? Hang on here a second because I have the camera upside down. Okay, this is the way it's organized. It's still reversed. Well, okay, hang on a second. Oh, I see. Okay, now back off. You can see it's all organized. All the eyepieces are all organized from the highest power to lowest power, and then in the center it continues on 26 and I think a 50 millimeter 2-inch, and then it also has the I'm trying to get there. You can see their high power going to low power as it go this way. And there's the large 3-inch eyepiece all in the same box. And as you remove items from the case, they're all conveniently located. So if you want to undo a plug to put an eyepiece in, it goes back in the case. So every time you use something, it's conveniently organized so they can return it to the case. So it's not on the floor, not on a table rolling off. Okay.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
Can you zoom out, Howard? Kind
No,
of to show the whole
I just
case
have to
at
hold it.
once?
I just have to hold it higher.
Manual zoom.
How's that look? Yeah, menu zoom. It's all organized, real nice. I'll show you people as we use it out there. Like I say, I cleaned everything, and everything's like my eyepiece cases. You can just reach in, you know where the stuff's at once you've learned it. Well, it's kind of hard holding this camera. I don't know where it goes. But it has the adapters for the camera adapters, the 2X Barlows, different size Barlows, camera connections, all kind of extension tubes, everything right there.
So Howard,
Okay.
you took that home with you to do that. So the eyepieces are not in the observatory, but is it your plan to get those back next week to get them at the observatory?
I was just out there this morning just to get them so I could put them in the box. So I will return next weekend.
Okay, thank you.
And also the ones at the 20-inch will all be cleaned back in the plastic tote back over there.
Okay.
Looks good, Howard.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Anything else about the observatory?
Anybody else have any questions, comments?
Did you talk to anybody about the rotation mechanism on the dome?
On the dome? I'm gonna bring that up with our engineering faculty. I'm thinking we get to give it to our students as a project, and then at least take at least some of the financial burden off us.
Sure.
And give the students some experience for their advanced classes. Any other comments? Anyone bought any new gear recently?
We purchased some equipment to mount a pointing laser on our auto finding scope on the go-to. We have a 9¼ inch Celestron Nexstar. And I don't remember who it was, but somebody was there with a handheld laser. And it's like, that's the thing we need during the Menke Observatory night. So, or not the Menke, the Messier Marathon. He was pointing stuff out and I said, yeah, that's what we need to get these go-tos or the push-tos rather, and any other larger equipment that doesn't have computerization on it set up, so.
I would like to mention on the 6.5-inch Scientific Explorer, it does have a laser point on it, and it's lined perfectly with the center of the eyepiece. Just have to rotate the knob and it will come on. You can sight the scope in on a star. It works real good.
Good.
It was daily.
All right. Any other new gear? Any gear for sale?
Well, my C-Gem is still for sale. Anybody wants any nice EQ?
See, so I need to talk to you sometime. You need to tell me why I want it, because I probably do, but I don't know why.
Well, it's a pretty heavy duty mount. You know, it's supposed to hold up to 40 pounds. It's go-to. I mean, basically, it's a new mount. It's never been used. It's down in the basement collecting dust.
Well, I probably need a little bit of help figuring out what we would need to get one of our scopes hooked up to it.
Sure.
We'll talk more.
Okay.
Anyone else? Anyone want to learn exactly why auroras happen?
Yes.
Give me a minute.
Here.
Okay, well, Doc, it's taking a minute. Can you guys hear me?
We can, yes.
All right, yeah, that took a little configuration. Y'all in the at St. Ambrose, if you want to buy a green laser, I'll give you one.
Well, you're about 3 days too late.
Matt, is that you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was about to say y'all 3 days too early because you could have had one for nothing.
Don't you like yours, Matt, or do you have too many?
Yeah, Jim, you know, you and I have similar problems. Yes, I have too many. I've got two 75 milliwatt ones, and I'm not getting rid of those because I don't want to be a felon, but I have a 5 milliwatt one that uses a pointer that I have no use for whatsoever. So if anybody wants a laser, Craig is the reason that I bought this thing in the first place, because he had a very ingenious mount back in the day where you could twist a little knob and bang, shoot it up at a star. But yeah, if anybody wants it, it's fine. It runs on 2 AA batteries, nothing weird. It's free to a good home. Anybody who's an actual astronomer.
Want it?
I don't know what it is, but sure.
A green laser?
For pointed up in the sky, you can like basically touch a star with it. See, yeah, look, see that one right there?
I need that.
That's what we said when we saw one. We're like, I need that.
It's great. It's great for showing other people what they're looking for.
Yeah, so like for anybody who doesn't understand what the green laser is for, they're demonstration pointers. They're typically used for large rooms giving a presentation like a stadium size. But the nice piece about presentation lasers is that they're green. All of their light is at 532 nanometer, which is around the point where most human eyes are most sensitive, and they tend to cast back off of dust, and they cast a beam about 10,000 feet long as you are behind the projection point of the laser, and they defeat parallax. The whole point of the laser is to make it so if I'm pointing up here at the sky, I can see down my finger, but all the people around me can't. But if my finger is suddenly 10,000 feet long, it's pretty easy to look down my finger.
It's pretty cool.
It is, yeah.
Sure. I'll take it.
You want it?
Sure.
Donna's,
I'm
Done.
coveting it.
Thou shalt not covet, but I shall make sure that your covet works. So yeah, just hit me up. Doc will get you in touch.
okay, all right. Okay. Well, you want me to give her his email or
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to right this second, but
email me to remind me? 'Cause I'm gonna be kind of busy this week. All right. All right, anything else? All right, okay, well, let me get to this, get this working here. Where do I share my screen? Here we go. Okay, so forgive me for going into lecturing professor mode here. This is,
Or thank you.
all right then. So auroras, they all start with the sun's magnetic field. Yeah, come on. Oh, okay, there we go. All right, so you're all probably aware of how large the recent sunspot group was. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a photo anywhere online that would show the Earth in comparison to this week's sunspot group. So I'm using this one here, which I don't know when this is from. But here at least you can get an idea of the size of the Earth compared to the sun. And then maybe that'll work with this actual photo of sunspot AR3664. Actually, this person who took this photo, Patricio Leon, he measured it as being 10 times as wide as 10 times as long as the Earth and 5 times as wide as the Earth. So,
Where do they get the names from?
the names, sunspots it's a designation, it's a letter number designation for them.
it's active region.
Yes. And well, one thing about that, when the sunspot rotates around behind the sun and comes back again, sunspots don't usually last more than a month or two. So even if it did come around again, you probably wouldn't recognize it. So they just renumber it. So this one has a rotate around past the limb. So it's actually, according to one report I saw online, it's now aimed more or less toward Mars. And they think that maybe Mars is might get a spectacular burst out of it. But the thing about the sun is that it doesn't all rotate as a single unit. Well, it's a giant gas ball, and the equator and the poles rotate with different periods. The equator makes a full rotation about once every 25 days. The poles closer to 40 days. And the sun's magnetic field lines are tied up very intimately with the surface and interior solar material. So as the equator pulls out ahead of the poles, the equatorial field lines pull out ahead of the poles. And it isn't too many rotations before the equatorial lines can actually end up being a full lap ahead of the polar lines or more. And they pull ahead more and more laps ahead as the sun continues to rotate. And eventually they get wound up and bunched up so closely together that they can kink into each other, bend, fold, spindle, mutilate, detach, reattach, basically get tied up in knots. And it's those places where they get tied up in knots that you get the sunspots. This diagram showing you how tangled up magnetic field lines just under the surface are basically block hot gases from the sun's interior from reaching the surface. And that's why the sunspots can end up being a couple thousand degrees cooler than the surrounding photosphere. And that's why they appear dark. The more the magnetic field lines get tangled up, the more the sunspot group can grow. and they grow and ebb over an 11-year cycle. So basically, the sun's magnetic field gets the most tangled up about once every 11 years. Now, this is an average. Sometimes it's as little as 9 years, sometimes as long as 14 years. But at that time, when it gets most tangled up, that's when you get the most sunspots, and that's when you have a sunspot maximum. After which, for reasons that astronomers are still trying to figure out exactly, the sun's magnetic field basically resets itself. Basically just spontaneously untangles, goes back to being a nice, more neat, orderly magnetic field like our Earth more or less has. And then the cycle can begin again, ultimately building up to the next maximum after another 11 years or so. So with this diagram, one thing this diagram is showing you is that one of the previous maximums happened in 2001. The most recent one was in 2014. So you see there was actually a 13-year gap, and the 2014 one was relatively weak by historical standards. And here you can get a clearer picture of the more or less 11-year cycle by looking at sunspot numbers over the past few centuries or so. And the next maximum is expected in 2025. So as active as the sun has been recently, we're not actually at the maximum yet.
So who was doing the recording back in 17?
Oh,
like
that
Royal Society sort of records that they get these things from?
could be. Actually, it goes back even further than that. Galileo recorded some of the first sunspot images. Going back that far, records are rather spotty. But they do show that there was an extended period from about 1650 to around 1710 or so, where apparently the entire sunspot cycle shut off, and there's practically no sunspots visible for that entire time. And we still don't know why that was, but it does suggest to us that the sun has even longer cycles to its magnetic and sunspot activity that we're only just now starting to become aware of.
Have you ever heard of there being also a 500-year cycle?
I've heard hints of that, and it's possible what we're seeing here is part of that. But again, our records don't go back no more than a few hundred years, so we're still at the beginnings of trying to understand these longer cycles.
This is not a helpful thing to add, but I also am involved a lot in ham radio, and usually the sunspot cycle is something that excites people. And this year, it's been so active that it's absolutely crushed global communications in ham radio. So it's not necessarily as cyclic as everyone wants to think it is.
True. And as you can also see in these last two graphs, no two maxima have been exactly the same. But yeah, so the flares that spawn auroras here on Earth, they come from sunspots. The theory is that all those tangled up magnetic field lines under the sunspot, if they suddenly break and reconnect, that's when a flare happens. It's basically the breaking, I suppose you could say the breaking of the magnetic field line suddenly releases all this pent up magnetic energy, and that explosion of the energy is what the flare is. And so then naturally, the more sunspots you have and the stronger the sunspots are, the more flares and the stronger the flares are. This was a particularly strong one back in 2015. Here's an image of the strongest recent flare on May 14th, which was rated at class X 8.8. Okay, so there's a system where they classify flares according to their strength. They use letter codes for it. A-class flares are the weakest ones. B-class flares are 10 times stronger than the A-class flares on the order of. C class, 10 times stronger than the B class, M class, 10 times stronger than the C class, and then the X ones are 10 times or more stronger than the M class flares. And that is currently the strongest classification we have. And as if X 8.8 doesn't sound big enough, I think it was reading from my research making this, the strongest flare ever recorded was class X45. And it's a logarithmic scale. So it increases exponentially as you increase the flare class and the number that goes with it. But even the strongest flares can pale in comparison to the strongest coronal mass ejections. These are like these are the biggest eruptions that the sun can emit. To give you some idea here, here was a particularly strong coronal mass ejection here. This white outline here is the sun itself. So you can see these CMEs, they're called for short, they can dwarf the entire sun. And when a really strong flare or one of these strong CMEs impacts with the Earth, then it gets funneled by the Earth's. Fortunately, most of it is deflected by the Earth's magnetic field. Otherwise, if we didn't have a magnetic field at all, strong flares and CMEs, they can literally blow a planet's atmosphere away into space. That's what happened to Mars once its magnetic field shut off. Our magnetic field deflects most of it away, but some of it gets funneled down into the north and south poles, and that's when you get auroras of varying strength depending on how strong the storm of radiation was that hit the Earth.
So what happens when our magnetic field flips? How much time is there between the flip and the re-emergence of the magnetic field?
That's a very good question. First, to reassure everyone, the magnetic field doesn't shut off completely during the flip. It weakens, yes, but there's still some protection. And it's not a neat flip. It's more of a gradual milling, molding, disfiguring. And it can take, our best estimates take that, say, on average, it can take dozens, if not hundreds of years to complete the flip.
Hey, Doc, I don't see how to raise my hand here, so I'm just jumping in, but
okay.
I was recently talking to one of my coworkers about photographing Aurora, and she took a trip up to Alaska. Unfortunately, she got clouded out. This was over a month ago, so she missed the really good show. But one of the things that they told her down there was that the auroras in the north, around the North Pole, and the auroras around the South Pole are identical. And that kind of blew my mind. Do you know anything about that?
It was first I've heard of it.
Yeah, me too. I don't think it's even possible, but they were very confident. And she talked to someone from the University of Alaska that was leading them on the trip and assured her that that was the case, that they're identical, North and South Pole.
They appear identical in the skies?
I mean, I guess identical is identical, right?
Hmm. Well, I mean, the size of the storm compared to Earth.
I mean, it sort of makes sense, right? Like the field lines are the field lines. Anything coming from the north has to go into the south. But at the same time, I'm just dubious of the entire concept, considering the tilt of the Earth.
It seems to me that the storm would have to hit the Earth head on, just about dead center, for the two auroras to be exactly identical to each other. I mean, otherwise it was offset a little bit north or a little bit south. Then you'd expect one pole to get a stronger storm than the other.
That's how I feel. I think if it was at equinox, that would make sense. I don't want to derail the meeting, but I just figured I'd say that because I'd never heard that before.
Maybe they're equal in size, in area. Not exactly duplicate, but similar size, in ring size.
Similar size, similar strength. It's
I hesitate to even say anything because I don't know much about this, but yeah, it does seem like, first of all, what's the definition of identical? And then the other thing is, I mean, the one thing that would be different is depending on the position of the Earth, one pole would be most of the time pointed away from the sun and another pole pointed towards it. So that would seem to make
That's
it
another-
different.
That's another good point, yes. Well, something to look into. But so the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration is one of the entities that monitors solar activity to, well, among other things, try their best to give us advanced warning of when geomagnetic storms and solar storms are going to hit the Earth. And they have a rating system for the strength of the storms as they interact with the Earth's magnetic field, from G1 for minor storms, not worth worrying about, up to G5, which are the most extreme storms. They're the ones most likely to cause overloads in power grids and satellites. And of course, the bright side is they give us the most spectacular aurora displays. This most recent solar storm was rated G5. And there are reports of auroras visible from South Carolina and Namibia, that close to the equator. And what you're seeing here is one of the few photos I was able to take of the aurora display the night of May 11th. Of course, I was just using my smartphone, so I mean, still, even then, it showed up better than I thought it would.
So when we had the lightning or the show of the aurora, I laid on my back deck, and there was like different types of aurora. It almost looks like a cloud that was in one place. It just stayed there and lit up and got brighter and dimmer, but it stayed like a cloud. I actually had my pillow and laid on my deck, and then I could see the aurora coming in, but when it would light those clouds, it was just like a shock wave that went all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico, just like an energy wave flashing back and forth. It was cool.
Yep. And so when you saw a couple of my pictures as part of this presentation, if anybody brought pictures of their own, feel free to start sharing them.
You're talking about Aurora pictures.
Aurora, yeah.
Oh, this is Paul. I sent you one.
So,
all right, let's see if I can. Yes, Paul Levesque sent me one that was taken by his daughter. I know I put it in here somewhere. There it is. In Osceola, Wisconsin. Let's see if I can share
That's
this
basically
one.
the same line of latitude as the Twin Cities, by the way.
Nice.
Yeah, there it is.
Now, during that massive solar storm in 1859, which they call the Carrington event, they were seeing auroras as far south as Rome and Hawaii. And that was one of the most powerful solar storms in recorded history. It actually caused overloads in telegraph systems and caused some of them to catch on fire. And there is concern these days about what a similar magnitude solar storm would do with our current civilization.
But it's probably been at least 20 years ago, maybe longer. I was listening to the radio late at night, and it was after midnight. And the radio talk show was going on. All of a sudden, it just disappeared and didn't come back on. And the next night, the moderator of the show came on and said that their satellite had been hit by a solar event, and it took it out. And they had to go to a different satellite the next night to have their show. So that's those, it can happen.
That's why we're spending so much time and effort to monitor solar activity, so we can take necessary. But suppose that least far as I know, the simplest precaution is to turn everything off. If you know that such a storm's coming. You know, when I was growing up, I lived in a town where the power lines were basically held together with paper clips and rubber bands. And occasionally when a thunderstorm went through, the lights in our house would suddenly brighten. And my father knew there was a power surge. Apparently lightning hit one of the lines and he would run around to turn everything off before everything, burned out. So basically that's the kind of thing they're talking about that solar storms can do to our electrical grids and our satellites.
Paul, I love this shot. I just want to say, like, nice foreground.
This is beautiful, yes.
Yeah, nice foreground. Nice. Honestly, like, even if it's a cell phone, nice exposure. Kudos to her. Like, this is a well thought out, well composed shot.
Well, thank you. I'll pass that on. It's just from her house. I mean, so yeah, they turned out pretty well. It doesn't look that way to the naked eye, though.
Well, luck is the confluence of preparation and opportunity. So good for her.
It almost looks like there's a false dawn there towards the north, towards the kind of a northwest direction. But that's probably not what it is.
Yes, I read
Yeah,
that
Robert.
Yeah.
Yeah, Robert, I sent you two that I took from Moline.
To my email.
Yep.
Let me see. Okay. See if I can. All right, let's see if I can do this. Do it like this. Okay, this is one of Steve's photos.
Nice.
You said this from Moline, you said?
Yep. This is just from the house, so you can see the house on the left corner there. And yeah, what happened was that it was just I had a lot of yard work. I'm really behind on stuff here at the house. And so it was Friday night, was it? And so I had to cut grass. So I was dead tired. So I was in bed by about 9 o'clock. Then I woke up about 1:30. And then so I had a few hours of sleep. And then it just so happened that John Baker had texted me and he says, "Hey, you're missing it." And I'm thinking, "I'm missing what?" And then he said, "You're missing the show." And then I went outside. I just couldn't believe it. Now, obviously, you didn't see the color, but you could kind of see that the white wispy clouds moving around. So I took some pictures. And so I took this one, and then this is probably the best one I took. And this is just with the cell phone holding it up, and then the cell phone takes like a 2 or 3 second photograph, and then it's probably stacking a lot of photographs. And then there's another one, Robert.
This one?
Yeah. And so this is so I was looking straight north, the other one's straight north, and this one is just northeast. So that also was pretty cool. So that's all I have.
Actually, from Menke, we saw one of these strands literally go right through the North Star for a minute or two. Nice.
Yep, pretty neat.
I'll share. I mean, I'm down if it's cooled up.
Go right ahead.
So I am super jelly of all you guys. I'm not even gonna lie. So I knew that it was coming, and I read all the stuff, and I instead went out and went out with friends of mine to like play and drink some booze. And when I left there, it was still cloudy. It was like midnight at my house. I couldn't even go to bed. I was awake until 5 o'clock in the morning, literally cleaning my house, doing my dishes, all that kind of stuff. And I missed the whole thing show. So the next morning I got up and can you guys see my screen right now?
Yep.
Yes.
Mhm.
All right. So this is a photo I took of the sun. I'm going to try to zoom into it here. This was the day after the aurora. So I'm actually kind of impressed of the granulation that I was able to get with just a regular filter using a Canon DSLR and a 400 millimeter lens. So I got the sunspot and some granulation in there. And the next day, as like close as I went out to Menke. There was a public night, and we walked out, you know, Doc, and well, actually, I didn't walk out. You walked out and you started screaming like, guys, let's go. So then I got this shot.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we didn't get overhead Aurora that night. I was already shooting a time lapse anyway just to see what happened. And this is the spikes and everything that was happening at Menke the night before. You also notice there's a lot of yellow in here. It is green, but it's yellow down here. And a lot of people would say, oh, you've overprocessed this or whatever. No, this is the native color because it wasn't as cool as the night before where the aurora was overhead. So this is just the normal amount of color fading that happens looking at the green part of the aurora through the horizon. So people north of here, like Upers and people up on the Canadian border, got a really cool shot. And I also like this one. I would have to say, this is the first time I tried to use artificial intelligence to do noise reduction. So you were looking at an AI noise reduced image of this. Let me see if I can find one. This is straight through the camera. So you can see how it's way noisier. I don't know which I prefer better. Like this is like the natural 20-year-old camera that I'm rocking with, or a noise reduced version of the same shot. I guess I'll leave that up to you guys. What do you prefer, AI or straight through the camera?
For me, they both have quality.
Yeah, I'm with you, Craig. Like I'm torn, right?
They're both good.
So yeah,
It'd
this
be nice if you could get the low contrast areas through the AI filter, high contrast areas through the camera.
say that again. You're super echoey.
Oh, I think that's because I'm coming through Robert's computer, but I'd say that the smooth areas in the lower contrast areas in the center of the bands look better on the AI, but then the band contrast and then the color to the dark I think looks better in the straight to camera area. So almost you need something kind of in between, I think.
Yeah, I'm kind of with that. Like, I gotta find I gotta find a straight up one. All right, yeah, these are this is pure AI brought all this out over here. But this is straight through the camera. I don't know, it's so hard. They both have their qualities. I like the modeling down here and all that stuff. I don't want to turn this into a discussion of image processing. But yeah, out at Menke, man, like it was cool. That night wasn't as cool as what I saw on Facebook from everybody else, but it was pretty cool.
I was kind of surprised that there was more than one day of the aurora. The second day when we was out at the observatory, I was busy working on the mount, so I kind of saw it a little bit, but yeah, more than one day. That's kind of strange, isn't it?
No.
Well, honestly, Howard, I think you caught walking out of the observatory everything that I was shooting here.
Yeah.
You saw it yourself. I mean, it was not an incredible, well, it was still a good display. I mean, realistically.
Yeah.
It's only the third time I caught Menke out at Aurora, and it's the best one. I just was a day late for the best display of it that I could have seen out there. When I was before I was really into astronomy, I worked for Rhythm City Casino, and I used to get off work at between 2 and 4 a.m. And back in, I want to say about 2007, I had the experience that everybody had a couple of weeks ago. Came home and it was like, whoa, there's this crazy stuff. I literally like woke up my parents and woke up my neighbors, like, get out here to see this. But we didn't have really high definition, high sensitivity phones in our pockets at the time. You know, that was a long time ago. So yeah, I don't know, little FOMO, little butthurt that I missed this one, but hey, I got the second night.
So when that first night when they were shooting off here, I actually walked kind of out the back down the street towards the north. And what I did is I viewed the sky even back over way towards the east over the city, and it was a little bit different arrays in the east than they were like your picture showed. The east was kind of angled over, and then over on this side there's kind of illumination towards the northwest, and quite different than what, because I went out there out front north here and I landed on my porch and it all looked different. I usually like to not take pictures of stuff. I like to observe it and be involved with seeing what's naturally there with your eyes.
I would say, Howard, like the Aurora, I've only shot it a few times and it was always opportunistically. This last one I was like mad and I wanted to get some, but all the opportunistic shots that I got of the Aurora, it was very ephemeral. It's there and it's gone. It's super active. It moves around a ton, and you just gotta sit out and wait for it. It's just like a meteor shower.
So the best thing I saw was when I was laying on my deck out back, and those shock waves are like shooting clear towards over the Quad Sea, just energetic shots of energy. Oh, that cloud formation I was talking about. So I've never seen an aurora like that before, just the streaks in the sky, but this thing was completely different.
Yep.
Energetic was what I'd call it.
Yeah, anyone else have things to share? So as I say, as far as solar astronomers are concerned, we haven't even reached the maximum yet, reached the next maximum yet. So 2025, yeah, we better all have our cameras and observing sessions on standby.
They say 25 up to 27.
That's true. Yeah, there's always like a year, could be a year or two
Yeah.
margin of error.
I was out with the solar scope yesterday with my daughter, and man, I've never seen so much activity. All 2 years ago, or maybe 3 years ago, when I first got my Lunt solar scope, there was nothing on the sun at all. And just over this few years, it's picked up, and picked up.
I know. I like to, when I do my sun lab in my astronomy class, one thing I like to have the students do is sketch the actual sunspots on the sun's surface through a filtered telescope. Haven't been able to do that for years. All right.
You know, if you ever need some solar viewing for your class, I'm sure we can get a few people together.
I'll let you know. Anyone else? All right, then. Back to business, I guess. All right. Well, do we have any photos of anything other than Aurora that people want to share?
I have a couple.
Okay.
the first of this month, I took the Sombrero Galaxy. Let me see. And come on. Looking for it. There we go. And looking for the sombrero. I don't see it, so I'm going to move it to on the 18th. I took 2 pictures with 2 setups. One was the Splinter Galaxy, and that would be this one right here. And it's pretty far away. NGC 5906. I did it with the 8 HD with a 7 reducer, 533 MC, single color used in the L Pro. Everybody see that?
Yep, I see it.
Yeah. Yes.
And let's stay with that. I developed this morning, it was a test run to see how everything was set up, was the M13. I have not done yet until now, so that's and that was done with the Explore Scientific 127 triplet using the ASI 2600 MC Pro. And let me see. When I did
Hey,
this,
Craig.
yes,
Shoot that one again with half the exposure. Send me your stacked raws. I'll complete it for you because that is nailed. Like that's really good. You just need to be able to
shorter exposure.
Well, yeah, but not the shorter exposure. The shorter exposure is gonna burn out everything you just did. You absolutely have to mosaic that, and I'll help you do it.
What about the M13?
Yeah, the M13, man. You need to be able to layer
There
that.
were 10-second shots. I did over 500 of them. 10 seconds.
Right. So shoot it again at like 2.5 seconds, and then again at 30 seconds, and I'll give me the raws. We'll share them on one of the drives, and
Okay.
I'll show you how to stack it up.
All right. When I did the sombrero, here it comes, and I did that with a 533 and the 9.25 HD with the 7 reducer, and that was done at the beach because it's a southern. I like the way it turned out.
That looks good.
And the one I really
That's pretty.
what happened here?
Is that an overexposure? Is that really the galaxy's halo that we're seeing?
That's the galaxy. That's the galaxy.
Those stars are so far away, Doc. There's no way to actually expose them. That's super clean. I love it.
And
really in halo to that galaxy.
I tried to do at the same time with the other scope the antenna galaxy, and it's very, very difficult to do in processing. But I did get some. I'll show it to you. Okay.
Oh, that is nice.
Yeah, I had an issue off to the right of it, and I thought it was a reflection because there are some light down there, but it's not the best. But yeah, it turned out all right.
Craig, what did you say this one was?
The antenna.
It's called the antenna. It's in the south section of the sky. I had to go down to the beach, the only place I can get to the south end.
It's two galaxies in the process of colliding with each other.
Correct.
Sounds scary.
It's a super tough one, man, because there's so much, you have to go through so much atmosphere to get at it.
You billion years, that's going to happen to us, yeah. But individual stars are not going to collide with each other.
No, they'll just rip planets off of other stars.
Oh, it won't even do that. It may throw us out of our original orbit around the galaxy's center, but in any case, the sun will expand to a red giant by then, and
Yeah,
we'll have much bigger things to worry about.
Like trying to live on Moon Jupiter because it's too hot everywhere else.
Right.
Well, anyway, that's what I've got.
Nice.
I'll take the 4 to 5 second shots of M13 and spin it out to you.
Craig, what telescope did you use for the antenna of Galaxy?
What I used was the 8-inch Edge HD +7. Using the ASI CW ASI 2600 MC Pro camera. I used L Pro filter, which is pretty much a light filter. I really enjoy using that filter for galaxies.
Very nice.
Can I go back to the telescope that we just put the scope on the mount out there? I'd like to mention that I brought my illuminated reticle for checking the tracking through the eyepiece with the illuminated reticle. And what I did is I put on a star and I tracked the star in my crosshair on that special eyepiece for see if it got any error or anything. I went for at least up to 6 to 10 minutes, and it did not leave the square. The star did not leave that reticle square in the scope, so it looks like it's tracking real good.
It's good.
I just want to verify. I worked with Jim. I told him what I was doing. I want to do that before we left, and it proved that it's got great alignment. It tracks nice. You should be able to do minute exposure with a camera and stack them and have no problem.
All right. Hey, is there anything else? All right. Matt, can we have a treasurer's report, please? Matt? Matt, are you there?
I'm here, sorry. Jim and I are working on a total of what has been spent out of the observatory fund recently. So without actually putting that into perspective, and I don't know how accurate this is now, but the general fund, I can say accurately, has $2,554.09. The events fund has $500.03 because hey, it's kind of fun. Now we have a real bank account. We're earning money in that account. The observatory fund, not inclusive of what has been spent on the Mach 1 and the things to make the Mach 1 happen, or the things that were mentioned tonight regarding eyepieces, is $10,705.56. That leaves us with a total of $13,987.59. Unfortunately, that's not an accurate description, but that is what is in the bank account right now.
All right, well, once you have the figures from the recent purchases, we can come back to it. So until then, can I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
So moved.
Second, it.
Cecil.
Second.
Let's just jump in.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to raise hands on Zoom, yeah.
I know.
All right, so
Did the first motion?
I think Cecil, you made that you moved to. I think Cecil moved to accept.
Yes.
And who seconded?
Craig,
Greg and Donna tied for second.
Yes.
yeah, Donna, you can.
Oh, some credit.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay. Just add some spice.
Wise guy. All right.
Now you guys had a victory, see?
Oh, thank you. All right. Last item on the official agenda, website redevelopment. So Chris has been talking about helping us out with fixing up the website. I'm gonna thank you for that. And I think in order to do so, we want to get as much input as we can about what exactly we want to use the website for. We had some discussion with this in the last board meeting and came up with some ideas. Now we'd like to bring it to the general membership as to what do you want the website to do? What do you want to get out of the website? I can send out a short survey by email with these questions written down. Does anyone have anything they'd like to input right now?
Well, it should do two things, I think. One, it should cater to members. So places to post pictures, places to sell equipment, perhaps, question answer. Somebody has a question, can't get a hold necessarily of anybody. They could post it on the website. Somebody could answer it. And secondly, I think it needs to cater to somebody who might be interested in joining the club. And it should have some easy access to it.
Comments?
I mean, definitely the second. I mean, just
To attract more
other people.
prospective members.
Yes, I mean, that seems to be the way to keep a club going,
Yes.
You need to get new members and young ones, so we need to do something fun stuff on there, something exciting that gets their attention. These guys are TikTok-y people, they have to have TikTok-y stuff. And just having articles and here's my telescope and take a look and don't you want to spend $13,000 on it? That's not gonna cut it for these, 19, 20, 25-year-old kids. They don't have that money and they don't care, they want bells and whistles. We gotta find something.
Hey, let's do it. They can do a TikTok and have them see if they can climb up on top of the observatory and jump off.
Well, now, that would be,
Yeah, the
that
pull-up
would,
challenge.
that would be the astronomy challenge, but that's later, once they're in the club, they can do that.
No.
We need to bring our cats and have them do funny things at the observatory.
Yeah, it would scratch people's eyes out for us, so. Very good, that's fun.
Yes.
No, it's fine.
Now, Donna has a point. We need us old fogies need to figure out ways to connect with the younger generations.
Why don't you ask your younger class people what they would like to see? Your astronomy class.
Well, if you don't mind waiting until the next semester, I can do that.
Well, I'm sure we'll still be working on it, but
I mean, you've got an astronomy class and nobody ever shows up for any of the astronomy events.
That's because it's not TikTok either.
well, I mean,
That's because we're all so lousy at advertising.
It's pretty heavy competition to have somebody that is, you know, living on campus to drive 20 miles north, to a place they've never even heard of, don't know how to get there, and stand around and do what? You know, what are we doing? That's kind of what needs to happen is they have to know what are we doing? If we go out to this public thing, what are we doing at the public thing, you know? I mean, and I'm not trying to start a thing here, but I was just looking at the Popular Astronomy Club has they sent out one of those things on Facebook for an event. And it's, you know, you're interested, not interested, or whatever, and it listed all of the stuff that they were gonna be looking at that weekend. We're gonna look at this star, we're gonna show you this thing, and we're gonna do that, and we're gonna do something else. I mean, just a general, come on out, you know, that's fine, but that doesn't tell me why I should be interested in it, you know?
Right, and so I think an events page would definitely be something that I think Matt, Chris and I discussed when we were at the public night. As to what we put on it when we get there. I mean, yeah, updated when we're.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, that's just the thing. I mean, I'm just saying, that's how you reach folks, you know? They use that stuff.
So basically what we're kind of looking to get when we ask is like a list of things that we need, right? Like we know we need galleries, we know we need a forum so we can all communicate. And a marketplace of sorts where we can post gear that we have for sale, members only, obviously, for stuff like that. And then we need to list out anything else we want. So an event page, a calendar, so we can see when we're holding the board meeting, when we're holding all our events. So anything on that line, like what you want to see on the website, that's what we need to kind of.
yeah, we need to figure out what the most important features are that we need to be building into the website from the get-go, and then as time progresses, we'll add more and more stuff to it.
You could also look at other websites like the Peoria Club or the Cedar Rapids Club.
So which website should we make it just like?
Not just like, we steal
I
from
mean, essentially, as a developer, I need a laundry list of features we need to build. And what order we need to build them in.
That's
Because
what,
it's not just gonna pop up overnight, so there's gonna be some amount of time on each feature. So we need to know which ones we want biggest and hardest and most, and then which ones can wait a little longer.
So hopefully that's where these questions that I'd like to send out by email are gonna come in, so. Who would like to help compose the email survey? Would anyone like to help compose it?
Sure.
So you're the one already working on it, you already got like a demo.
I don't have a demo, don't oversell.
Not okay. Selling it to me all week.
So you
Yeah, I'll
want to take that on?
some questions.
Okay, so.
The biggest thing we need is like a forced rank voting. I want to know what you want most, first, second, and third, but we'll put some questions together that provide some structure so you can throw out some answers.
That'd be great.
I'll chime in on the forced rank voting thing. First thing we need is a public face, a billboard. That is the Quad Cities Astronomical Society, is actually astutely mentioned. We need a calendar, and there's someone else in there that said, what are we actually doing for that calendar? That's fun. But that's for everybody else. Like Cecil very much was correct, and he brought up that we want the website to do something for us. So the secondary features, we are the secondary to a billboard, would be a forum and a marketplace and things like that.
And a gallery, photo gallery.
A gallery, yeah, a gallery is great. And a way for someone to contribute to the gallery in such a way that it doesn't require them to be any smarter than logging in and hitting a button, which is a lot harder than it sounds, but that's what we were trying to accomplish before.
Yep,
Website contribution for dummies. Yes.
well, Web 2.0 people.
Okay.
Who's working on this on the website? I've been looking on my phone here trying to see stuff.
Christopher Eberle.
So there's some stuff there. Is somebody still developing it, huh?
Well, I'm looking at building something from scratch. Right now we have something that's built from plugins, which is fine, but my day job is full stack application developer. So
Okay.
I'm looking at building something from the ground up to support specifically what we want.
The question I have is on the website, can websites communicate with Facebook? Because you can go on Facebook. Is there some type of way they link stuff where if you get on one, it goes to the other and expands what they're seeing?
There are some ways to federate content. I wouldn't anticipate that we would do that as a first endeavor. That's we're talking about external, APIs to get into that. There's API setup, there's account setups required, and then I'm going to be honest, I'm not really a big fan of Facebook. I would rather make our application more desirable than Facebook than to interplay with Facebook.
And it will be phone application friendly.
Well, what I'm talking about is Facebook under the QCAS Astronomical Society has all kinds of pictures and information. So if there's no link from the website to you say to Facebook, a lot of people use Facebook, and then there's other people that use the TikTok. And how do they? Because there's a lot of information already there and pictures and stuff.
So most of the APIs allow you to host content from Facebook, but going the other way, not so much.
Because Facebook technically owns everything that you put on Facebook.
Part of your user agreement.
So you have to agree to put stuff on Facebook, so it won't just pull data from the website.
Yeah, you can't just go in and type on your website. You can go to Facebook or TikTok or whatever and find more information about what's going on.
When I hear that, I think if you want Facebook, then you use Facebook. But if we're gonna have a website, we want the website to be the home. We want everything to be there. We can post stuff on Facebook, but if the draw is to have this website be the house for everything we have and be our forum and our gallery and all of this stuff for members, then I think we need to focus more on the website.
Something we can control ourselves.
Yes.
Well, yeah, that's all right.
Doesn't mean that there's not any way to hook up with Facebook. It's just if you want a Facebook website, then use Facebook.
I mean, at the very least, we could post a link to our Facebook on our website.
Oh, for sure.
That would be fine.
But to get the content back and forth, that's a whole different banana.
Yeah, no, that's not what I was saying. There should be that you can go to Facebook or something to see more information if you're interested.
Yeah, but wouldn't you want to go the other way? Wouldn't you want to drive people to our website to get more information?
And then put it on Facebook and go the other way. I don't know.
On our Facebook page, put a link to the website.
I think there should also be something for someone, like dad bought his kid a telescope for Christmas and doesn't know how to use it. There should be some information there for real newbies. When I was at Bettendorf High School for Astronomy Day, the guy who runs the planetarium came out and talking to us and said, I got these 2 telescopes donated. And you say, you know, I don't really know how to use them. And it says, you know, it's about a foot long, and, you know, he couldn't describe, he didn't know what it was. So he brings it down. It was a Celestron, an older Celestron C8. And he had a big solar filter for it. And he couldn't focus the thing. He was trying to move the eyepiece in and out. And I said, here's your focus knob here. This is the guy that runs the planetarium. The guy who teaches astronomy at Augustana, before he came to Augustana as a professor, he had never looked through a telescope. His PhD was done off pictures from Hubble on the internet. I mean, we're not talking, these people are idiots, but they don't know anything about telescopes. So there should be some.
So like a
Hey.
knowledge library, Cecil, somewhere where we can post information.
Some, you know, you can do that. And again, you know, if they've got a question, they can leave a question, you know, and somebody from the club can contact them, and
a contact page where they can email us.
yeah, you know, something like that. So for absolutely pure beginners, and again, it might be a parent who doesn't know how to teach his kid because he doesn't know anything either. And, you know, it's the old McDonald's model. You advertise to the kids, and the kids want to go to McDonald's, but how do you get the kids to McDonald's?
Have one of us dress up as a clown.
No.
You could do that, but
You gotta get their parents to take them there.
you gotta, and so what's gonna happen?
Who's got the money? That's the
You
deal.
know, the parents are gonna have to, they're not just gonna buy a burger for the kid, they're gonna, you know, they're gonna have dinner there. So, you know, you gotta kind of have to, I mean, they have to, I think that McDonald's marketing idea was brilliant.
We gotta figure out a way to drive them to the website. Go. This is where you do it. This is your local. We know it all about here. You know? Oh, but here.
Get some quotes from you.
Hmm?
We'll get some quotes from you, put it in the banner at the top.
Me?
We know it all, Donna.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And then I'll say, please see this website for real knowledge. You know. I've just got lots of quips.
Come and meet the experts. Okay, so yes. So let's work out a list of what we want the website to do and to be for us, in some which ones are more priorities than others. I've said that better, but anyway, you know what I mean.
Yep.
All right.
We'll put some questions together and get it out.
Sounds good. All right then. So yeah, we're a little past 8:45 here. So is there any other item that people want to talk about tonight?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Steve.
Okay, what's the status on the 30? Has there already been work done on the 30?
Okay, the thing with the 30, the reason I send an email out is because when I was using it, the 5-inch finder was in the wrong place. So I decided to switch the 5-inch finder in the spot where the Rigel was, and then move the Rigel down to where the 5-incher was. And so when I was out Saturday, I drilled the holes, mounted the 5-inch, and the moon was in and out of the clouds. I don't think we ever did. I don't know if we ever did find the moon.
Yeah.
If you mean this
In the
past
sky.
Saturday, yeah, it was in and out of the clouds.
So what I'm going to end up doing is go out in the afternoon someday and open up the door to the observatory and point the scope out the door and see if I can locate a tree so I can set the, you know, set the finders up, because that's the only situation. And the reason I sent that email out is I had to bring the 5-inch finder home, needed a little work. And that set the balance point way off. And the top of the scope was at the bottom of the roof. And it's just saying, if you're gonna go in there, you're gonna have to get something and tie the front of the telescope down because it's out of balance. So, but it's back in balance now and it's fine. I mean, it's usable. It just don't have a finder that works until I fix it.
So, see, so my comment is this: is that, you know, the larger the telescope is, and I say this after using the 20-inch for years, you know, is that it just needs a really good solid zero power system. And John Baker and I, we just put a normal Telrad on there and we were up and running. You know, it's such a basic item.
Yeah, I know, and I've got a Rigel for that.
Steve and Cecil, I have a Rigel, or sorry, a Telrad that I have failed to electrically correct because it's always had problems. But I got a Telrad base, you know, that connected to this busted Telrad that the club can have. And I think a logical place for a Telrad on Cecil scope would be nice and low, where people could point it wherever they want. If you guys think that's a valuable thing, like the club can have it. I'll bring it out there. I'll leave it in the roll-off observatory.
The only thing I have with those types of finders, and I wish I could find something like that had a right angle viewer. I hate to be on my knees at the back end of the scope because of the weight of the box and everything. It's a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
But I haven't found a right angle red dot anyplace, because that would be ideal.
Yeah, the Telrad that John put on, he just mounted it up on the cage.
Sure.
Where that Rigel was. So I think that's fine. You might have to go down the ladder and move it around a bit more, you know, but so I've got another question is that, do you have any opposition about taking those wheels off? I've tripped over them off of the handles.
No,
because it's
the wheels can come up once you find a place where you want to put it and leave it, take the wheels off.
Okay.
Yeah. If you can get them up. Because I was actually going to remove the wheels and put on different wheels because those are old and kind of beat up and weren't working properly. But no, it's like, hey, you find a place if you like it where it's at, take the wheels off. I don't care.
Okay.
I mean, those wheels are there to move it. That's all.
And then you've got some digital circles that need some work or something. You've got the parts for those.
I've got a Sky Commander set up, and I attempted.
You got the shroud. You got some other pieces.
Yep.
So if you could just leave that stuff up there in a corner or something like that.
Yeah, I will do that the next time I'm out.
So I can take a look at what you got, see if we can get it up and running.
Yeah, because I had a problem. I couldn't get I just couldn't get the things to work for the digital setting circles.
Okay. We can get it working.
I've got a question here. Why don't you use a laser mounted pointer? That would solve your problem. Hello? Mount a laser pointer. Once you get your first star in line, adjust the laser to point at that star, and you're good for the night.
I would hate to leave a message for any flying saucer that goes by.
You're only using it to find the object that you're pointing at, and then you shut it off, or it would kind of obscure your view. The whole point is you don't need to be on your knees, and it's easy to establish, calibrate, And once it's calibrated, it's set.
Yeah, John and I used it one night and actually 2 nights, 2 successive weekends, and we had the Telrad on there. We had zero problem finding anything.
Now, there is another problem with that 30, is I have some eyepieces that will not focus.
Even with this new focuser with the extension tube and all that.
It's not enough in focus. It's not the back focus, it's the in focus. My 38 won't work. My new 20-inch won't work. Yeah, because I wasn't sure about the focuser, but that focuser is the smallest one I can get.
So you just need to shorten the struts, right?
No, what I need to do is to move the mirror back about an inch and recollimate.
Yeah.
I think it would be a lot easier to shorten the tubes.
Well, you could do that. You want to do that. See,
Yeah,
the problem happened a few years ago when another club member, which I will not mention his name, decided to recollimate the mirror, and he moved the mirror up too far, and it's been messed up ever since. And it's been collimated, but it's people when they've it's collimated now, but it's collimated at the new position and not the original position. So I got to. We could just move the mirror back an inch and recollimate it to be fine.
Now,
well, hold on.
got-
That sounds like it was. That sounds like it was moved down too far to not have enough back focus.
It's not back focus; it's in focus.
Oh, all right, fair enough.
Yeah. See, he can't get the eyepiece close enough inward towards the secondary to see it's out of focus.
Right.
And
now some of the eyepieces work. I mean, I've got an extension. So, it's one of those things where some of them work the way it is and some of them don't.
And you've done this with your new focuser, is that correct?
Yeah.
I thought that new focuser worked rather well with the built-in extension tube. Yeah. I had no quarrels with that. It worked really well with us.
Yeah.
Any eyepiece we put in there, it worked real fine.
Right, but I've got a few eyepieces that won't work.
All right, we'll play with that too. We'll get it fixed. It's no problem. You know how we collimate the 20-inch telescope is we don't use any of this laser stuff or whatever. You just bring the primary up to the center of the spider with the secondary removed. It's that simple. Then all the collimation adjustments are done at the on the secondary. And it works rather well. So
we're getting close to 9 o'clock here.
Okay.
Is there any other urgent business that we need to do tonight? Going once, going twice. So then our next board meeting is June 5th. If anyone from the general membership would like to participate, please send us an email and we'll include you in the Zoom link. Our next general meeting is June 17th. Unless anything changes, we'll have that in person here at the South Annex again.
Yeah.
All right then. If there's nothing else, does anyone want to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Cecil moves. Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Chris seconds. All in favor? Say aye. All opposed? Well, never mind. Yes. All right. Good meeting, everyone.
Yeah.
All right. So see you next month. Stay safe tomorrow.
Hmm.
Jim, you're still on, huh?
Yes,
Yeah. You think the meeting went pretty good here?
yes,
Okay.
yep,
Well, I got more eyepieces to clean now.
okay.
Today's Today's
Monday, the Monday, the
Yeah.
20th.
I'll try to so what I'm gonna do, the stuff was pretty dirty. I'll organize and put it in the blue-green tote and take the stuff back to the 20.
Okay,
And then the other ones are gonna be on that Jim, the other one's gonna be on the counter we made. That's where those eyepieces will be.
okay,
Yeah, we need the other people are gonna use that. Me and you and John are gonna have to. I'll get that print out, and once it's made easy, it'll be easier for other people to do it.
When you holding class, Howard?
Susie said Mike Burns died. I don't know who he is.
oh, I'll tell you. Yeah, Barbie had told me that.
We
Did
gotta
you hear
get,
that question, Howard?
no, what was it?
When are you gonna hold another class to operate the mount?
We gotta have some stars to look at, and it's gonna rain through next Monday, so
Yeah.
me and my daughter go back out, and I'll take all the eyepieces,
You-
and then sometime in June.
Yeah, you were planning to go out there next weekend, but you're saying the weather forecast doesn't look real encouraging.
It shows rain Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for sure.
That's a lot of rain.
Yeah. Well, around here,
It is
Right.
our rainy season.
Mm-hmm.
I can still walk in my yard, so it doesn't rain that much this year.
it's
I know they've been forecasting rain, but we really haven't gotten it.
yeah, rain through Tuesday, and then it's gonna start picking up Friday, Saturday, and Sunday real hard.
Well, don't get blown away.
So my idea is just get out and get the eyepieces put back out there, and we'll line. I have other stuff going on like music and stuff. I got all kinds of dates. I'm doing stuff, so we'll have to line something up and at least get a couple more people. And what I'll do is I'll make a some type of check certification list and how much time a person has to do it before. I think right now there should always be two people that are working on it, an experienced person and another one that's training in, right, Jim?
Well, we had a long conversation about the rolling off the roof, whether you needed to have two people there or not. And what we settled on was to say it was recommended to have two people, at least one of them trained.
Yeah.
But that if somebody that was trained wanted to go out there by themselves, that was okay.
Okay. Well, we're gonna end up here now, right?
Sounds good.
All right.
Okay, good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Need help with anything?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
All right.
When I get home, I'll get those meeting notes out.
Okay, thanks very much.
Yep.